Hi guys, today I am doing a Bones finale reaction. I did this for Vampire Diaries a couple weeks ago, so I'll link that video below if you watch Vampire Diaries and you're interested in that. Obviously there's gonna be spoilers and things like that. I'm assuming that if you're watching this you've already seen the finale, but it's been gone on for 12 years, so obviously it was a big success. And David Brennan has been like one of my favorite actors for a while, since Angel and Buffy, which are recently taken off Netflix, which is a huge pain in the butt. This is about Bones, but I love shows like that because when it started out, it was like during a time when there was this type of show that was very common where, you know, there's a big issue every season and a new tiny issue every episode. And I love that. It keeps you kind of going. It keeps every episode interesting. And of course there's like always romances going on and everything that you're interested in as well. The characters on the show are just so relatable, and although the show is quite unrealistic, there's no way Booth would survive everything he's been through. Like, how many times has he been shot now? How many? Let's count. I don't know. So many. There's a lot of shows that don't let you know when they're ending, and I don't mind that so much. Not nowadays really anymore, but back in the day, you know, when I was still like a wee high schooler, we didn't find out usually when a show was ending until a couple episodes before, and the commercial would be like, series finale in 3 weeks. Like, what? And I almost preferred that because you weren't building up expecting some kind of a big ending or wrap up. You kind of were just expecting the regular old season finale. But this time I wasn't too bummed. I think because the show had gone on so long, if we didn't know this was going to be the final season, it would have been way too much of a shock just because the show went on for so long. I think they actually did a really good job with it. I feel like it was time to wrap up. They had done so many different storylines. They'd all almost been killed so many times. You can't, you know, stretch that out forever. They kind of didn't do it perfectly, but I was definitely satisfied with the ending. Sometimes I am pissed off at the ending, like the last whole season of Charmed. I hated. But there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, and it's gonna be really out of order because I just made up this list when I was watching it last night. So there was 12 episodes, and I think that they used each one as best as they could. I think that the only thing I didn't like about the last season was the first episode of the last season with Zack. When Zack was introduced that he was coming back and we all thought he was like a murderer, I kind of loved that. I thought, oh my god, what a great way to kind of round out the ending, and now he can be the bad guy for the whole last season. Like, that's so cool. And I did see the point of not making him the bad guy because obviously Brennan likes him so much and has such respect for him and care for him, and the Hodgins and everyone just really cared about him, and we already knew he didn't kill the guy that we thought he killed. But when we thought he was like the puppet master or the puppeteer, whatever they're calling him, I don't know, I thought it was really interesting. And when they made it not him, I got it, but I was hoping it would still be someone related to the situation, someone who knew them, but the guy who did it was his new doctor. I just thought that that was very weird, and it came out of left field, and it was just so random. We didn't know that guy, we never saw him before these episodes, and I thought that it got wrapped up way too quick. And that's something I noticed in the last couple of seasons, even with Palant, like just the way they ended that was, what? This is so weird. The Ghost Killer I thought was a pretty good one. Like I said earlier, I love the classicness of Bones. That's the new story for each episode, but a couple episodes throughout the season are focused on this big main character person that we kind of see in the final episode or whatever it is. And they did do that for this final season. I didn't like how they rushed the Zack thing. I like that we kind of followed along, see if he's gonna get out of prison and everything. And I did like how they ended that with him, you know, going to prison to finish for his aiding and abetting or whatever, but not actual murder, and he's gonna get out in a few months. That was great. I did like how they did that and how they kind of showed Brennan's care for him in that episode and Hodgins' care for him and everything. Let me know if you agree with the whole how they ended the thing with Zack and made it his doctor. That felt so rushed, and they could have stretched that out a little bit further. But I did like that in the last season they did have a lot of those small fun cases that make the show what it is, where they're undercover and stuff. Like, I just thought that that was great, and a lot of David Brennan's family actually was in last season, if you didn't know that. So I thought that was really sweet how they did that, and they brought a lot of old people back. If you didn't notice, a lot of the people who played a murderer or a witness or something earlier on in the show came back in the last season, and I don't know if everyone picked up on that. I definitely did. I definitely think that they did the last season wisely. They made it authentic to the show, and they had those classic fun episodes, but they also wrapped up slowly throughout all of them. They knew this was the last season from the beginning, so they slowly, you know, fell into place. Cam's wedding and Cam's family, and, you know, with Brennan kind of questioning if she still loved her work, and with her dad dying, and all of that kind of it just really laid in place really well, and I thought that they just did a really good job of that. Also, for the episode of Cam's wedding, so the episode before the final episode, I have very mixed feelings about that one because I love that they had Cam's wedding. I thought that that was really great. I didn't know if we were gonna get a chance to actually see that. I really liked how they did that. I love that what's her name came back. Oh my god, I can't remember her name, the psychic. This is gonna drive me crazy. But I really like that she had come back because she was such a big part of Booth and Bones getting together. Avalon. Yeah. Avalon. I'm really happy they brought her back for that one episode, but I thought that her role was really great there, and it really shook up Booth as it should for someone who believes in kind of fate and things like that. That played out really nicely. The only thing I didn't like about that second to last episode was the way they filmed it, like jumped all over in time, because that's not classic to Bones. That's not authentic to Bones. They don't normally do that. And I felt like that was a little weird, and I was really hoping they didn't do that for the final episode, which they didn't, thank goodness. But I didn't like that. It felt very confusing and jumpy, and you know, by the time we moved to a different time of the day, they would be talking for a couple minutes and be like, oh, so this is before this happened. It's just, it was very rushed, I felt. So I didn't love that. I also thought that one thing I was missing was Wendell's girlfriend. I think that a couple seasons ago we saw Wendell had a girlfriend and he like broke her clock or something, and I thought they were doing pretty well, and we didn't see her at the wedding, we didn't see her at all. We also were missing a few interns in the last 2 episodes, which is fine, like no big deal, but still. And I think that there could have been a little bit more with Sweets. Not a lot more, but just like a bit more. We also didn't see Russ, I believe, for the whole last season when the dad died. Like, I just thought that was weird. And then also Parker. In the last episode, we do hear a little tiny bit about him, but I don't know. I think they did a good job with the time that they was given to them. Obviously, they couldn't touch on everything. They're not going to please everyone. I like how they wrapped it up with us kind of knowing how they're going to move forward and how things are going to be going. It gave us like a hint into the future, but it didn't do that thing that like Castle did and actually show us the future, which I really, really liked. I like when shows just kind of end it that way, and I hate when they show us like into the future. I just really don't like that. So the explosion in the lab, I did think was a cool way to end it because it was, obviously we know they're going to rebuild it, but I thought it was a cool way to end because that's some place that was so important throughout the show, and I like how Booth wanted to get out so bad because earlier on we hear Gordon say, you feel uncomfortable in here, and I thought that was kind of cool. There was so many unrealistic elements to this final episode, like the explosion. There's no way in any world that all 4 of them would have survived, that Angela wouldn't have lost her baby, that, you know, Brennan had this brain issue that everyone was so worried about, and like in a second it was gone. I mean, with Angela still having her baby when she was thrown against the wall in an explosion, breathing in all that dust and everything, and they all walked out, well, except for Hodgins, they all walked out with their head held high and just some bumps and bruises, no broken bones. Like, are you joking? That seemed a little unrealistic, but I mean, they obviously had to do that. And it kind of does go with the show because they all have survived such ridiculous things. But honestly, with how ridiculous it was, I wouldn't have been surprised if they made Hodgins get his legs back. If he could walk after he was in an explosion, hit something in his back, and now he can walk. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. Glad they didn't, though. So the whole thing with Brennan losing her ability to think or be smart or whatever, I thought that was an interesting choice. For sure. I think it really highlighted her emotions, like when she was talking to all the interns about how she first met them and certain moments she had shared with them. I thought that was really sweet to kind of show that she isn't just this woman who was harsh. It kind of showed another light on her, that side of her that is super human and emotional. And I really enjoyed that, and I'm glad that they didn't, you know, keep her without her intelligence, because that was such a big part of the show that made the show what it was. It was about a woman who was so smart, who could do like extraordinary things to save lives, and I'm really glad that they did, you know, have that come back, and the way they had it come back was really awesome. Her husband being hurt and she knew what it was that was the problem. I thought that was really great how that came back, but it did seem rushed. So you're in an explosion, you can't get out, someone finally gets in to save you, and Brennan gets a CAT scan outside of the Jeffersonian. They're all just still standing there when anyone could be anywhere, like ready to blow up all those people too, which I thought was really odd. But then also they all go back to work that night. They all just go right back to work. They all can go right back into the Jeffersonian that has like no roof or something, was what it looked like from the outside. But the bones of the building are still there, which I think it was like an important thing. I'm surprised no one said that at the end when they were talking about they're gonna rebuild it, and they're like, well, let's not change it too much. I'm surprised Cam or no one said like, well, the bones are still there, you know? I thought that would have been a nice little thing to say, but I guess that would have been too obvious. I found it really unrealistic that they all just went right back to work. That was way too fast. I felt like, so the day of the explosion was the same day that they caught the guy, right? Like, that's a little yeah. I did like how they found out that the wife was a sister. I thought that was very cool and a very Bones thing to do. I wasn't expecting that at all. I really wasn't. I didn't know who I was expecting it to be. So I did like how they kind of closed out the final big bad guy, who was Kovac. I think that was his name, right? And I did like how they, you know, connect that to a story we heard from Booth way back in the beginning where he shot that guy. So I really liked it wasn't some kind of new thing that they introduced near the end. It was like a wrap-up from the beginning, and they did a lot of that. If you didn't pick up on it, they did a lot of pulling back stuff from like the first season in the last season, bringing back Gordon. Oh my god, that was awesome. Also, I really liked how when she did lose her intelligence for a moment, her quote throughout the whole show, which I swear she must have said at least once in every episode. I don't know what that means. Oh my god, like, it kind of got annoying to me at one point, but then I started getting used to it and really loving it and expecting it from her. And I love that we got a different side of it. It was always her saying, I don't know what that means, to simple things like pop culture and stuff. And this time she was saying it to talk about the things that she's known for so long. And then we also see it when they're talking about other things from the beginning that are more pop culture related, and I thought that was a really nice balance. I did like that they put a kind of weight on her saying your intelligence isn't all you have. You have friends, you have family, you're an important person regardless of how smart you are. But it was really important to give her that back, because it would have been kind of like a smack in the face for everyone who was so inspired by the show that so many women actually became scientists and knew that they could make it in that field because of the show. It would have been a kind of a smack in the face, I think, to that if they kept her intelligence kind of missing. I just thought that when they did get her, when she got her intelligence back, it was so fast. That whole last episode was what, over the course of 12 hours, or was it not? That's what I don't know. So they showed the end when Booth is in his office, and when we hear that Aubrey is gonna stay and he's gonna get the promotion and stay in Washington, and everyone's cleaned up and the Jeffersonian is almost completely clean. All the rubble is gone, and it felt like, I don't know if maybe that was a few days later or another week. I thought from what it seemed like it was the next day, and I thought, so everyone was blown up in an explosion the day before. Angela's pregnant and was in an explosion, and you know, Brennan just is like having this still brain trouble, and they all were like in a shootout the night before, and they're all just back at work the next morning. Like, no, if you were in an explosion, you'd be off for a couple of weeks. What? Also, when Cam said everyone go through your office, like pick what you want to keep and what you want in storage, why did everyone keep such personal items at work? Obviously they were there a lot, but like, so Brennan kept her dolphin necklace from her mother. She kept her little pig Jasper from Booth and a picture from Parker from years ago. She kept all that at work. And Cam kept her little salt shaker there. They had to do that, and it felt a little fake. Another thing was just so, like I said, how they just cleaned all that rubble out so quickly, and they can all walk around without hard hats on and pick up all their stuff, and all their stuff survived. But most people don't think into it as much as I do, obviously. It did feel super unrealistic that all that happened in like a span of 12 hours. I was really definitely happy with the result, and I'm not disappointed. I am happy with Cam's adoption. Because we knew Aristu wanted to have kids, I really liked knowing that they were adopting and grown kids too. I think that's amazing. But I'm really happy with the ending. Let me know what you think in a comment below. I mean, after 12 years, there's so much to say, but Bones was such a good show, and they ended it in such a good way. It was very aligned and authentic to the feeling of the show, feeling you get from every episode. It was very authentic to that, and I really appreciated that, because that doesn't happen often enough, I don't think. That's kind of my reaction to the finale of Bones. Very sad that it's over, obviously, because it was such an amazing show and went on for so long, but what are you gonna do? It's one of the ones I'm sad about, but also I've made peace with it. I'm not angry about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, I'll link a few in the description box, and make sure you subscribe to see more in the future, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!